The year is 1216. The countryside of Mert is rich of odors and colors this time of the year. It's the 10th day of Velen, and nature shows off her bronze and burgundy dress as you leave the city of Thurn behind you. Ahead lie two options. You either turn west towards Rockane and cross the southern part of Ebbing, or you can turn south towards the capital city of Mert, restock aplenty, your provisions are running low, and move to cross Gemera before you enter Etolia from the east. Nicolas, along with Fristos, have been traveling together from Toussaint about a week now. They needed some protection from the road, so Fristos sent word for his old acquaintance, Arpad, to join along the probably dangerous trip towards Etolia. After spending 3 or 4 hours on the road, you need to plan ahead.
Right, so the south road leads to Maagd's capital, right?
Anyone might roll for education and see what they know about these two possible routes. 3 starts off with a critical. So it's 25 for you. Christos got a 22.
18.
Right. So, the road south is the shortest one. It will take you to a capital city at first, but then you'll need to go through a rough land with even rougher people. You've heard stories about Gemerians and how wild their whole mentality and their way of life is. Their social structure is weird because they are divided in tribes and they are considered a raw kind of people.
And the other road, what would that lead again?
You definitely know that going west would be the longer route, but it's going to be more peaceful. It's going to take you through a number of villages and towns around the mountains, and namely the biggest one would be Claremont in Ebbing. You would also need to go from specific passes where bridges stand in order to avoid the wider and the deepest parts of the rivers that are aplenty in the territory. You know that after the borderline with Rockane, you will probably need to pass through the villages of Flaming, Jealousy, Thano, and then the capital city of Claremont, then go to Tonnerre, and that would be roughly about a week's trip. And then you'll go to Salm. From there, you will need a day or two to cross the borders to Etolia. A rough estimation would mean that you'll stay a week longer on the road. All these calculations and estimations take into account that you will not deviate through the wilderness, which could help shorten the trip, but you never know what's lurking in the wilderness.
So we left to Sandy, right? So, I don't know, we probably just got the provisions we got in our character sheet then.
I consider that you have left to Sand over a week ago.
Oh, right.
Whatever provisions you may have are what you have given me in your cargo sheets.
Right. In that case, I say let's go to the capital and let's stock a bit. Because the western road is a long one, and the fuck knows what will happen.
Okay, so Christos, your woman gets off the horse on the ground and stretches a bit to get more energy after a nap behind Nicolas' back.
I also get off the horse and I approach Christos and Arpad and I say to Christos, well, my friend, you know that any road for me is as good as any other one. My search has only one direction, small bodies of water where I might find the lady or answers about her. So I have no preference over the course we are going to choose. And you are older and wiser than me. So I will heed your counsel on this. And I'm just rubbing the bridge of my nose. I'm blonde. My complexion is pale. It should have been pale, but my face is weathered from the sun. I have cracks. Despite my young age, I have cracks around my eyes from the long exposure to sun.
Christos thinks a bit and then says, My friends, the road west might indeed be longer, but I have traveled those lands before. I have met many people in towns and cities of Ebbing and Mecht. So if we take a road through the cities in the west, we might meet some of my old companions, but we are also running short on rations, so I can see the point in Arpad's suggestion.
I turn towards the gnome. Do you think in these villages that we'll pass that there'll be a possibility for us to buy provisions?
It's possible. I mean, so far we have managed to survive by foraging and by eating what was left from our last stop, but it might be good to finally sleep in a proper tavern, to take a bath and take comforts of the town life.
My main concern is just running low on provisions. So if we can buy provisions on the safer road, then that's fine with me too. First, was it a border ford or something, right?
The first thing you'll meet going west would be Rocaine Fort.
I imagine that place gets a lot of transit, so we might be able to buy provisions there. The road to the west is fine with me too.
This is the border between.
This would be the border between Mecht and Ebbing,
Okay.
and it's on Mecht's side.
Would I know if they use the same currency? Not that I have a lot of money. I don't have. I have very few money, but
A poor noble, yeah.
Nobi.
I'd say for the sake of the game, yes.
Okay, I know that they use the same currency.
Well, I have money, so I can pay for my border crossing. And I don't know about you two, but I am well disposed.
I might be able to afford a few nights on an inn, a tavern, or something similar, but unless we find work suitable for our company, I won't be able to join you on the more civilized parts of either country.
I turn to the gnome. You said you've walked these paths before. Do you have any idea of how much it would cost to cross the border?
It would take you 10 crowns each, 10 coins each. I don't like this one bit, I really don't. But okay.
I have 10 coins.
I'm not that poor. I can pay that for myself.
Alright.
Oh, you know that how much I have spent on my syringe when the last one broke. I have only a single coin left, but I thought that you, my friends, can help me if any expenses are needed. Also, if we have not enough money, I can always stay in one place a bit so that I treat to some people's illnesses, broken bones, and earn money by it.
That's not a bad plan at all.
When I look at the gnome, what do I see?
As you look at Christos, okay, so you see a messy short person with a long nose, ragged hair, ragged clothes, who claims to be an experienced doctor. And you know that he is quite experienced because you have traveled with him before, but you also know that he isn't exactly the most professional, he is unconventional.
So I look at the noble a bit dodgy-eyed and I say, well, we might be able to pass off our gnomish friend as your servant and maybe dodge him paying the fee to cross the border.
As I previously said to Christos, I will take a backseat and I will listen to him and you.
I turn towards the Mr. Gnome and say, if you're certain about this, we can take the western road and see how we can get you across the border. given that you've got a coin to your name. But that's a problem that we will arrive at later. Who knows, maybe we'll find a corpse with a lot of money towards halfway to the full. So if it's alright with you, Master Gnome, Noble Lord, I say we take the western road.
It's always nice reuniting with old friends, right?
Yes, indeed, one of my old friends, also an acquaintance of Arpad, dear Erika, recently moved from Nazareth to one of the cities in Ebbing. Perhaps we can meet her. She is past her best years as she has succumbed in alcohol and debauchery, but she still can help us to on our long road.
I mumble to myself. Ah, she survived.
What could be more noble than searching for a lady? Onwards to find this Lady Erika, then.
So we set off towards the western road.
I imagine that Arpad and Christos know how Erika looks like and how she reacts to certain things, and Nicolas is a very monolithic Lady Erika.
Yes. As far as I know, she's a lady.
Oh, she's a hell of a lady.
Yes, you shall meet Lady Erika if God grant us good fortune.
What time of day is it as you're on the road right now?
If you're early risers, then it could be sometime around 10 or 11.
Or morning then, right?
Yep.
And what is the place we are staying? Could you describe it? Like,
At this point, you are standing in a sort of crossroads. Straight ahead, there is an opening, fields on both sides. It's roughly autumn as we perceive it, so you can understand that it's a bit breezy. The trees are still full of leaves, but they have certainly changed color. And just before the crossroad, there are signs saying which road will take you where. Your eyes catch a flock of birds that suddenly move away, which is a clear sign that rain will follow.
so my friends, shall we move or shall we rest a bit? Maybe gather some herbs and forage food for the road.
It's about to rain, right?
Yes, but I have a tent pack in the big bag that is tied to the horse. So if it rains, we can always open a tent and wait off until the weather clears.
Right. Well, if Master Gnome here wants to forage, he can forage. I'll just sit myself down on the ground.
Nicola, do you want to help me with foraging, or do you prefer to tend to the tent and maybe the fireplace?
Now that's a good question. I'm always looking to learn more things about survival in these lands. I'm accustomed to different weather, to different environment. So if that's not a problem with Mr. Arpad, maybe I could watch you gathering herbs. Maybe I could learn a thing or two.
That's completely fine with me.
Would you, Arpad, like to make the tent standing?
I will attempt to set our tent.
Nice of you.
Before I follow Christos, I'll tie my horse to a nearby post or fence, but somewhere close to where Mr. Arpad will set up the tent. So I'll just whisper to my horse, it's a brown mare. Okay, my dear Dune, just stay calm. I will return. And I just pat it on the head and follow my friend.
Do I need to roll to set up the tent? Or
Don't let them roll for setting up my tent, because if they fail, they can destroy my tent.
Imagine fumbling in setting up a tent. I mean,
setting up a tent, it's like an art.
so you spend half an hour going left and right, back and forth. You go around the fields, which at this time of the year are actually full of nice herbs and useful components. So, this is a 14. What you get is 9 units of Bali's fruit, 2 units of white myrtle petals, 4 units of Bali's leaves. Nicolas follows at your footsteps, looks closely at how gently you cut off the pieces that you need. Turning back, you also see a bush filled with berries. Something inside you says that this could be probably a good idea. You can have some, either now or for the road. You pick enough for all 3 of you.
This will be tasty, I say. I offer Nicola one of the berries. Do you want to taste?
Of course. You are so kind, my friend. And I pick the berry up and before I eat it, I look at Christos and I say, back in the desert, people would kill for a handful of these. And I just savor it. I put it in my mouth and I try to enjoy it as much as I can, even though it's been years since I left the desert.
I pat Nicola on his shoulder, and I have to reach because I'm a gnome. Don't worry, friend. Soon our fortune shall turn decent enough, and you will forget troubles that you experienced.
If we remain on the virtuous path, I'm fairly certain that our fortunes will indeed change for the better. Thank you for everything, once again.
Shall we return to our dwarven friend? So I start walking towards the camp with Arpad.
I follow.
Arpad has managed to set up a fire, and for better or worse, he used some of the logs he could find around the main road to make some kind of impromptu tent. He didn't touch your tent. He did his best to use some cloaks and seats in order to make some partial cover.
Okay, so I noticed that instead of my medical tent, Arpad has built his own structure, and I stare at it, but I don't say anything yet. Inside me, I'm like, okay, if he prefers to build his own, then okay, go ahead.
I look at the gnome as he returns. I look a bit annoyed. And what seems to be the problem there? You're not satisfied with this tent I've built here.
Oh, it's a fine example of dwarven craftsmanship. Let's hope it doesn't rain.
Now you listen here, you gnomish fuck. Not a guir, alright? A tent's a tent. It doesn't take much to set up a tent. It's a ploughing tent.
Alright. Don't be mad. I have gathered some berries you might like.
I take the berries from his hand with a grudging look and start eating.
I'm asking not in person, but do we have in our equipment something to feed the snake?
Christos owns a snake?
Yeah.
Damn. Every one of my characters and me hate snakes.
Ooh.
We've got an Indiana Jones situation here.
Definitely an Indiana Jones.
I don't know. What kind of snake is it?
I'm yet to decide whether have I disclosed to other characters that I own a snake or not.
Oh my god, my poor Dune, my horse will hate this. If she ever carries a fucking snake on her without knowing.
I assume that the snake maybe was hiding inside the back with the tent?
It's a snake in the back with the tent then.
I forgot to mention it to Arpad that if he unpacks the bag he might notice a snake.
I rolled 13 for awareness.
Oh, let me just... Roll awareness.
Actually, 13 is not enough.
Thankfully, my mood will not go sour.
Arpad has made this makeshift thing, which, if you remember,
And yes.
yes, the tent. I mean, the usual bandit tent in Witcher 3, where you went to the bandit camps and you saw some logs standing and pieces of cloth. Okay, not that simple, but it's a tent. Okay. As Arpad stands under the structure he made, under the tent, you come towards him. So what Arpad is looking is the horse, the bag on the ground, and the main road. Arpad seems something moving on your backs, and he's definitely sure that it is a snake. He cannot understand what snake it is, but nonetheless, it's a snake.
I see this snake-looking thing on the back of the gnome, so I pull out my hand and I scream it for the gnome to watch out, because there's a plowing snake in his back.
Oh,
As this happens, I draw my sword and I say, "Friend Christos, step away. This might be a dangerous snake. Let me handle it, friends."
oh no! Don't hurt it. It is Zbigniew. It is Zbigniew. Don't touch Zbigniew.
Zbigniew? What?
Big knee.
That's a great name for a snake.
I look at the gnome in absolute bewilderment and say, "What do you mean, big knee?"
It has a name? What kind of snake is that?
It is Zbigniew.
Are Bignievs venomous? Are the Bigniew snakes, as a family of snakes, venomous? Because of course I can understand that Bigniew is not the name of a subspecies of snakes. I can't even fathom, I can't even imagine that you've named a snake.
The Dungeon Master is Zbigniew venomous. I don't remember the stats for the snake.
Do you think that you would have befriended a venomous snake? I don't think so.
Yes, I mean, I assume that the snake poison it can be useful in some alchemical decoctions and so on. So
Or also as poison. Yeah, I'd say that Bigniew
poison.
is poisonous.
Okay, so as you asked if whether Zbigniew is poisonous, I roll for deception
Ooh.
because I want to convince you that it's harmless.
Well, and I will roll human perception then.
Can I roll human perception as well?
Of course, but since you're of different races, you all go with -2.
My roll is 19.
Oof.
She's straight through the gnome.
I'll say, oh, it's definitely harmless creature, not poisonous at all. You couldn't even harm a small lizard. I say, as you can see that the snake stirs up a lizard that is sneaking around.
None of you believe him.
All I'm asking, dear Christos, is please keep this Bigniew snake devil away from my dear Dune. I wouldn't want my poor horse to be harmed in any way, or even panic and throw us out of the saddle.
Oh, okay. I think that Zbigniew is very friendly and would make great friends with you, your horse and the two of you, but I can keep it secured if you are so afraid of my little long friend.
I scream at the gnome. What do you mean, long friend? You never never thought to tell us you got a snake with you.
You didn't ask.
You, it's poisonous. I shouldn't have to ask.
It doesn't hurt people, I think. It hasn't hurt any person as far I remember.
And you have him for a very long time. It's been around you since your childhood.
It's my lifelong friend. I have known him since the day my sister was born. It was a gift. I can't even imagine parting off with him.
Look at this bag. How secure does the bag look?
Okay, so Christos inhales and exhales a bit to takes a look at the snake. Zbigniew has managed to catch the lizard and it first bit it and later when it was stopped moving it just swallowed it all. So I say, oh, it seems Zbigniew has already fed itself. I wanted to give him a couple berries, but now it seems it might hurt his stomach if he eats too much. Okay, Zbigniew, back to the back, and I clap my hand. So, and Zbigniew is a trained snake, so he hisses a bit and goes back to the back.
I'd like Nicholas's reaction when the snake hisses and gets back.
I turn to Christos and I say, I didn't want to make you feel bad. I'm ashamed to admit that I have no knowledge of Gnomi's familial customs and the habit of exchanging snakes between siblings.
Oh, don't worry. It's a common reaction. Erika also freaked out when she saw it first time.
You showed a snake to a lady?
Actually, she noticed it herself, but when I wasn't there, and she was tending to my belongings when I left them at the tavern. But if I remember correctly, she grew to be quite fondly of the snake.
I have decided I do not like the snake, and I say this to the gnome. This snake is not getting in my tent.
It will not travel with my horse.
It will sleep in the back.
You secure the back properly.
The gnome stops trying to discuss and just go and closes the bag.
I put my axe back in my belt, and I back up towards my tent. I in the bag.
If you don't mind, I will stay with Mr. Arpad in his tent for now. Mr. Arpad, do you have a spare room for me?
I have a spare room for a non-snake indeed, good lord. Please come into my well-built tent. I say this as I look very angrily at the gnome walking with this snake in a bag.
I'm acting like I'm, appraising the craftsmanship, and I go, yes, indeed. I should check your tent out. It's magnificent.
In the meantime, Christos pat at the bag, leaves the bag with the snake and the big tent outside, and enters the Arpad's tent with the rest of the equipment.
Stare at the gnome.
I sit on the ground and open the bag with the berries and start consuming slowly a berry. I don't devour them, I just take one from time to time.
Does it have the environment enough grass for Dune to feed herself?
Plenty.
Okay.
That also means the snake has plenty of places to hide if it escapes.
It's in the bag.
How secure is the bag?
I did secure the bag.
I will have to roll will to stay calm.
You feel a bit strange about the whole endeavor of traveling with a snake, but you're not that scared in order to roll for courage. Some time goes by as you just rest a bit, and it seems that you were lucky enough to avoid the rain. You are fairly sure that you can keep on going towards the border, which should be well within reach in an hour and a half on a steady pace, since not all of you are riding.
Man, that was quite a good rest in that well-constructed tent, wasn't it?
Indeed, it was a fine tent for the...
I look at the gnome and I say, careful now.
Yes, indeed, it was a fine tent, period.
An excellent rest.
Yeah, I puff up my chest and say, ha, the Lord says it's good. And I start packing up my fabulous tent.
So as I pack my stuff, I say, are we good to go to the west, or have you reconsidered?
I think west is as good a direction as any.
I agree.
So I clap my hands. I have all my things, and I take the big bag with the tent and the Zbigniew, and I prepare to sit on the horse.
Wait a moment, my friend. I would like to inspect your bag to see if it's properly secured.
Of course, I trust Zbigniew not to go out without command, but you can check if it's secure if you are concerned.
Please promise me to not let the bag touch Dune. She might freak out if she feels the snake moving in the bag.
I swear on the lady.
Who's walking and who's riding?
I am gonna walk.
If Nicola allows me, I ride, but if not, I would probably have to walk with the bag with the snake inside.
A nice distance away from me. Thank you very much.
I don't think I feel so sure about a bag with a snake on my horse's back, so I'll just pretend I want to walk in order to not offend Christos, and I will just say, why not walk? There's no any more danger of raining, and just pull the horse from the tack before you can ride it. So I say, let's walk for now. Let's stroll for a bit.
Christos seems disappointed, but says, right. Could I at least put a bag on the horse? Or maybe you, Arpad, would like to carry it for me?
I will not carry the snake.
Oh, fine, I say, and I go along on my own foot behind them.
I'd say since this generosity on part of your companions occurs, when you reach the border, you would be missing 5 points of stamina. It takes around 2 hours to reach the fort, because you are really going in a slow pace, as Christos is struggling a bit. When you reach the fort, you see that, strangely enough, not a lot of movement occurs. Rocane is not a big fort, but it stands on the border and the river Velda is passing by. Imagine that you are walking on the main road, the fort is on your right, and ahead of you there is a bridge over the river. As you approach, there are 3 men, and one of them approaches and says, "Halt! If you want to go past the border, you'd need to pay 10 coins each."
I start rummaging in my possessions to find 10 coins.
I want to check the guy out. Do I believe him that that's the amount of money we have to pay? You know, if he has orders to ask for that kind of money, he's seeing a dwarf and a gnome and a stranger. Maybe, you know, we're obviously foreigners. So I want to see if he's fleecing us off.
You can go with human perception at no penalty, of course.
It's an 18.
First of all, you gauge at what he is wearing, and you can definitely see Macht's coat of arms on him. Although you've seen a fair share of brigands, and you know that they could be just imposters, it seems that your inner eye sees that this man is just a soldier, garrisoned in the fort, so he speaks in a totally casual way, as if it's something he says lots and lots of times per day.
Great. I hand him over 10 gold pieces as well. If they're crowns, they're crowns.
At the time we're playing, there's no empire yet, so we'll stick with coins for the moment. So he gets 10 and another 10.
As I hand my 10, I will ask him if there's any news about the surrounding region. If there's been any noteworthy events.
I don't know where you come from or where you're going, but Macht is fine for the moment. I heard the colonel saying that there has been some movement down south. Unless you're headed for Etolia, you should be alright.
Alright, thank you.
Hearing this, Christos asks, "Wait, Etolia, what's going on there?"
He looks at you. He's gazing from up higher than you and says, "I'm not here to offer information, and certainly not for someone who hasn't yet paid the toll. But let's say that rumor has it Italia is not that safe there has been movement beyond the Alba River.
He could probably see that Christos is worried. He may probably think that it's because he doesn't have money, which is also true. But the primary reason of Christos' concern is that he was born in Italia, and after thinking a bit, Christos says, "Oh, but the dwarf pays for me."
Let me please pay for my friend, and I'll hand over 10 more coins.
Oh, thank you, my friend. I don't think you should spend so much money on me. I owe you so much already, but if you insist, I look at the soldier again. By the way, is there perhaps any need for a professional medic inside the fort? While we don't have much money with us, we could pay with my service. I'm a certified doctor, and I can make our stay here well worth.
I see where you're getting at. He takes the money and gives it to another person who then collects it and puts it in a chest. He turns to face the three of you, and as he does, he looks at the gnome and says, "So you're a medic? I'll tell you what, although it's not my position to spread rumor, I do believe I've heard that at the village of Jealousy, there was a strange incident involving children who have been sick.
Can you describe the symptoms, dear sir?
I don't know much. The colonel has told us not to venture towards Ebbing if this is a plague or an epidemic. But perhaps if you are a doctor, as you say you are," and he stops for a moment gazing at your clothes and your messy outlook, "then perhaps you might be able to understand what's wrong there. So, off you go there. Safe travels."
I thank him and I move past.
You don't go through the fort to cross the border. The fort is on the side,
So we don't go through the fort, okay?
which is indicative of how things have been.
Is it a wooden fort or is it stone?
It's a mix. There's a palisade around the fort, but the main structure has stone walls.
Okay.
It seems that it can house 10 to 12 people.
So there's no settlement near it or around it?
No, it's just the fort. So as you go through, you take a good walk for a couple of hours. It's around sunset now. As we said, it's the 10th day of Velen, so the sun goes down earlier than the summer or spring. So it should be around 6 when you reach the village of Jealousy.